Hello everyone, welcome back to Think Outside the Board for the first crowdfunding roundup of April 2024. And in this week's video, we're going to be looking at what I think are your best bets to back from everything that launched between April 3rd and the 9th. And I've got 6 different campaigns to share with you today. 5 of these are on Kickstarter, 1 of them is on Gamefound. As always, my video is tabbed so you can find the section that you're looking for if you don't have time to watch the whole video, and just go right to that section of the video. And there are links to all of the campaigns that I'm talking about down in the description section. Also, the best way to support this channel is still to like and subscribe, and I very much appreciate anyone who wants to go ahead and do that. So our first campaign for this week is called Aqua ROVE. This is sort of 2 new games that are based on a game that has already existed in the past called ROVE. ROVE is short for Results-Oriented Versatile Explorer. It is a solo card game. It features mechanics like pattern recognition, pattern movement, and hand management. We can go look at the original game over here on Board Game Geek, and I actually have the wrong game up. It is this one. Here we go. Result-Oriented Versatile Explorer, and as we can see, this has a 7.6 on Board Game Geek, which is a pretty good score, and it's got a weight of 1.95, which means that this is a very light game. Now, this is published by Button Shy, and you may know them best from titles like Circle the Wagons, Food Chain Island, Skulls of Sedlec, Sprawlopolis, and Tussie Mussy. And the original game and the new versions were designed, I should say co-designed, by Dustin Dobson and Milan Zivkovic. They have worked together on a bunch of projects. They have one called Agueda City of Umbrellas that is coming out this year, and that is not a Button Shy game. But the other games that they've worked on together are almost all Button Shy games. So we've got Battlecrest Fellwood's base game, the original ROVE, and Wild Tales: A Pirate Legacy. Dustin Dobson is also the designer of Skulls of Sedlec. Now, they also both work on the art for the ROVE games, and they have both worked on the art for ROVE and all of its expansions. So that's what they've done in the past. Now, if we go over to the campaign over here for Aqua ROVE, and we scroll down a little bit, we can see what's new in Aqua ROVE, because these are 2 new games that use the mechanics of the original ROVE and build somewhat different titles. So over here they have listed what is new in Aqua ROVE. They say experienced ROVE players will notice that there are a few changes in Aqua ROVE. For one, movement cards no longer provide generic points that are limited by the module's movement restrictions. Instead, each card provides both the points and the direction of movement, providing a major twist to the original gameplay. All modules have been replaced with new abilities to match this change. However, each pattern now requires 2 specific fixed modules to complete rather than 1. As it befits an ocean adventure, so the new theme to it, ROVE's missions are now placed vertically rather than horizontally to create a beautiful panorama of your descent. And if we go down here, what's new in ROVE Junior? They say ROVE Junior provides a more casual, kid-friendly experience than the original game without removing core elements. Players now have only 4 modules to manage, and each movement card provides unlimited movement in any one direction. Additionally, players always refill their hand at the end of a mission. With these changes, as well as variable difficulty options, ROVE Junior is a great introduction to ROVE while still remaining appealing to existing ROVE fans of all ages who just need a break from the dangers of outer space. The original game was space-themed. So it's 2 new versions of this game that's already existed and already has a pretty good score, as we saw on its Board Game Geek listing. Now, Button Shy doesn't always have videos. They don't have a video at the top of the page, so we're not going to watch a video for this title. We can look over here and see that they have funded with $55,000 right now. That's off of a $2,000 funding goal. And Button Shy normally has smaller funding goals just because they make card games that are 18 card wallet games. So they come in these wallets, these plastic wallets, and then if they do expansions, they usually give you a different wallet for the expansions. But these are 18 card games, very small, very portable, cheap to make compared to a lot of games, and cheap to ship, easy to produce as these things go. The campaign here is going to run until April the 20th, so the time that I'm shooting this, you've got 5 days to go. However, I still need to do my taxes, which means by the time I edit this and get this up, it's going to be probably another 48 hours from now. So you will have time to back this if you're seeing this video when it launches, but you won't have a lot of time, maybe a few days. All right, let's go down and look at the pledges since there's no video to watch for this one. I think they've got 5 different pledges here. So first of all is the print and play, which you can back for $5. And, there's no shipping on this one because you're just going to get the files to be able to print out the PDF version of the game. If you would like the actual physical copies, the pledges start here. So this is for international backers. Now I'm in the US, so when I talk about games and shipping, I'm always catering that to the lower 48, continental US, which means we're not going to really look at this. It is the same price point as this one, but this one is for US backers. So at this price point, you can either get Aqua ROVE or ROVE Junior. It's a $12 pledge, and all of the pledges in this campaign for US backers are $5. So it's just $5 shipping, and that's consistent whether you're backing one game or a huge collection of games. So if you'd really like to see some savings on shipping, you could order a bigger pledge, and you're still going to be just paying $5 in shipping. So for this one, with the $5 in shipping, you're looking at a $17 pledge. Now, if you want both of the games, this is your pledge here, Aqua ROVE and ROVE Junior. It's a $20 pledge with $5 of shipping for $25 total. The third pledge, since we're not actually covering that international pledge, is Everything ROVE. This is a $50 pledge, $5 in shipping, $55 total. And this is going to get you the 2 new games, the original ROVE game, and all of the mini expansions that have been produced in the past for the original ROVE. Also, if we look down here at the add-on section, Button Shy has a lot of other games. They don't have them here. You can't order them as add-ons. They're not making their whole supply of games available through this. But they do have this here, which I wanted you to see. So it says buttonshygames.com coupon code. We have many more games at our website. If you go to our website, which is linked here, and place an order during this campaign, use the coupon code 0424BACKER to get 15% off your order. Your website order will ship now as long as you don't order any pre-order items. Otherwise, the entire order will ship as soon as everything comes in. So this is a great way to get some more savings. You can go look at the Button Shy website, order anything and everything that you want, and you'll have a nice little savings there. And then if you're only looking at this campaign and you're only worried about backing things through this campaign, you'll be getting your stuff in August 2024. That's when they're targeting for the shipping date for this one. And because they're doing these smaller wallet games, they usually make this date or they're even early. So this isn't the kind of company or the kind of game that sees 6-month, 12-month delays. However, let's just go back to the top. If you're just doing the print and play, they're estimating getting that to you in July of 2024, so a little bit sooner. But that is Aqua ROVE. That's our first campaign of the week on Kickstarter, and we're going to stay on Kickstarter for most of this video. The next campaign is for Bebop, Shuffle and Swing, and Cat Blues The Big Gig. This is 3 different games. They have a funding goal of $15,000. They're currently at $53,000. So they're doing really well. It's a smaller funding goal for this campaign as well. And this one's going to run until April the 25th. So you've got 11 days on this one. I should also mention that all of the games that we're looking at today were April 9th launches. I thought it was going to be a smaller video because nothing had launched in that period up until the last day, which is the big day for board game launches on Tuesdays. But I wasn't that aware of that many games that were coming out on April 9th, and then we got a whole bunch of things that I wanted to share with you. So everything here is an April 9th launch. we've got 3 different games in this one. They're all being published by Bitewing Games, who you may know from Cascadero and Cascadito, which is delivering this year, but perhaps you pledged that campaign, or the games Trailblazers and Zoo Vadis. Those are probably their best known games. Of these 3 games, 2 of them are designed by Robert Hovakimian, Bebop, and Shuffle and Swing. And then Cat Blues The Big Gig is a reprinting, reimagining of an older Reiner Knizia game with new art. Now, Robert, the designer on the first 2 games, hasn't done too many things, but if anyone knows his design work, it's probably from Moon Rollers, which was sort of a DICE spin-off of Moonrakers from Ivy Studios, and then their expansion for Veiled Fate called Tribunal. So that's what he's done in the past. He is joined on Bebop by Weberson Santiago on art, and Weberson is probably best known for The Bloody Inn, Coup, Sail, and Whirling Witchcraft. And Bebop is an area control game with hand management that is set at a jazz festival. I think the 2 games here that Robert's designed look really pretty cool. Let's see. So Bebop is this one that's at the Jazz Festival. And if we go down, you can I'm trying to give you a look at the components. So you've got this double-sided game board, various tokens and things. And there is a Bebop add-on, which is the Festivals expansion, which gives you 2 more boards. And then these deluxe wood tiles. Bitewing seems to be doing this thing where they're giving you the games and then they're giving you like 1 or 2 add-ons for each thing, and those add-ons are sort of expansion-y things, but also quality of play upgrades. So with Bebop, you've got 1 of each, right? You've got the Festivals expansion, which is more gameplay, more boards, and then you've got the deluxe wood tiles, which are quality of play upgrades. The other game from Robert is called Shuffle and Swing. I think this one looks really cool too. Let's just go down and look at the components. This is the kind of the most Euro-y looking one of the group. And if we scroll down a little bit further, let's see the Shuffle and Swing add-ons. We've got these extra boards here for the Instruments expansion, and then again, deluxe tokens. Upgrade your 30 punchboard boost tokens to squishy cheese, glossy milk bottles, and wooden ladders. The artists, there's 2 of them on Shuffle and Swing, are Gary Chalk, who has been around for a while. He's probably best known for Dungeon Quest, Hero Quest, and Space Hulk. And then Alicia Giroux, who's worked on a game called Lunar, and she's also the artist for Cat Blues. Shuffle and Swing is an engine builder with worker placement and a rondelle. So the last game down here, Cat Blues, The Big Gig, this is the sort of reimagining of the old Reiner Knizia game, which was just called Cat Blues. That published in 1998. If you wanted to look that one up, it's got a 6.0 on Board Game Geek, and it's got a 1.43 complexity rating, which is very light. Anything below a 2.0 is light, light, light. And it is a card game with bidding and set collection. It's kind of described as being like Rummy, but with some auction rules added in. So here is a look at those components. And again, Alicia Giroux is doing the art on this one as well. So that's what we're seeing for Cat Blues, The Big Gig. And I think there's one add-on, which are these interlocking metal coins. Again, this is like a bidding game, and so it's nice to have things that are tactile and stackable, and just coins that will be easy to use in a negotiation or bidding game where the money's going round and round. So let's go back and take a look at the video, and then we'll look at the various pledges. And I don't think it's very complicated. They've got 4 pledges. I think there's a pledge for each of the games and then kind of like an all-in. But we'll get to that in just a moment here. So this is Cat Blues. This is Shuffle and Swing. And this one's Bebop. Okay, so that's the video there. Let's go down and look at the pledges. Okay, so the cheapest one here is Cat Blues The Big Gig. That's probably no surprise. This is the Reiner Knizia game, and I didn't mention that he's best known for My City, Modern Art, The Quest for El Dorado, Ra, and Tigris and Euphrates. But this is just essentially, a card game with bidding, and so if you want the upgrade, you get those nice stacking metallic coins. But this is a $19 pledge, and Bitewing has kept the shipping cheap throughout this campaign, just like Button Shy was doing in the first campaign that we looked at. So shipping throughout this is just $4, no matter your pledge. So if you're looking at just getting Cat Blues The Big Gig, it's a $19 pledge with $4 shipping for $23 total. If you would just like Bebop, $59, $4 shipping, $63 total. And if you would just like Shuffle and Swing, a $59 pledge, $4 shipping, $63 total. Now, none of these pledges have those various upgrades, those add-ons included. They've also got 2 bundles. They've got a bundle for Bebop with Cat Blues. This is a $78 bundle. Again, it's going to have $4 shipping, so $82 total. And this is going to come with just one of those add-ons. That is the Festivals expansion for Bebop. So you're getting sort of the extra content with this one, but not the upgraded components. Over here, it's a similar kind of thing. You've got Shuffle and Swing and a Cat Blues bundle. Again, it's $78 for the bundle, $4 shipping, so $82 total. And with this one, again, you're getting those 2 games and then the expansion that gives you more content, the Instruments expansion for Shuffle and Swing. So again, no component upgrades on this one. And then the final pledge now, not including this retailer pledge, is the Jazz Collection Bundle. And this includes all the games and all of those extras. So you've got Bebop along with the Festivals expansion and the deluxe wood tiles. You've got Shuffle and Swing with the Instruments expansion and the deluxe boost tokens. And then you've got Cat Blues, the Big Gig, and there's only one upgrade for that one, which is are those coins, the interlocking metal coins. So this is kind of everything. $137, still only $4 shipping, or $141 total. Now you can get the add-ons separately. I think they do break them out over here. Maybe they don't, but they are listed if we click on the details. Okay. So they talk about the prices for the things individually. If you just want those deluxe boost tokens for Shuffle and Swing, $12. If you just want the wood tiles for Bebop, $15. The metal coins for Cat Blues, $14. And then we've got the kind of extra content. You've got the Instruments expansion, Shuffle and Swing, that's a $15 add-on. And the Festivals expansion for Bebop, which is a $19 add-on. And then they just list the other pledges if you want to add more pledges and the other bundles and things. But that is everything for all 3 of these games, and Bitewing currently has December 2024 targeted as the date of delivery for this project. From here, we're going to go over to a very different project called Dragonbond Lords of Vaala. And this one has not funded yet. They have a funding goal of $50,000. They're currently at about $49,000. But from looking at crowdfunding projects so much, I know that most projects do 2/3 of their business in the first 48 hours and 1/3 of their business in the last 24 hours. And this only needs another $1,000 to fund. So I'm sure it will tick over that in the last 24 hours, which is not quite for a while. It's got 17 days left to go in the campaign, which is going to run until May 2nd. And, based on what we're seeing here, it'll probably do another $25,000 at least before it completes, which means I expect this to end its campaign with at least $75,000, which will be clearly funded at that point. Now, this game is coming to us from Draco Studios, who have put out such games as Dodos Riding Dinos, Sea Dragons, and War for Chicken Island. It is a co-design between Jack Caesar and Alessio Cavatore. Jack Caesar has worked on a lot of these IP games, most notably Highlander the board game, Pacific Rim Extinction, and Terminator Dark Fate the card game. And then Alessio Cavatore is best known for Bolt Action, Mordheim, City of the Damned, which was a board game that came out back in the 90s, and the 5th edition of Warhammer 40,000. Now, if we were to look at Dragonbond over here on Board Game Geek, because this is already in existence, Dragonbond Lords of Vaala, it came out last year in 2023. It's got a 7.6 rating on Board Game Geek, which is a pretty solid, reputable score. And the weight is listed at 2.29. Now, normally what I say is if it's more than 2.55, it's into the medium heavy range. If it's over 2.0, it's in the medium light range. So this puts this right in that medium light range. Now, this game is a semi-cooperative game with mechanics like variable player powers, an action queue, area majority, hand management, programmed movement, and an action event. And what we're going to do is take a look at their video here, and then we'll come back and look at the 5 pledges and the various add-ons. Now, I don't know if you noticed during that video, but they did say that you can play at lower player counts without AI-controlled enemies. I know some of these big miniatures games, you know, there's a narrative element to it sometimes, or you're doing area control, but you've got all these miniatures on the table. Some of these games, if you want to play at lower player counts, they have you using an extra faction or two that are controlled with, you know, AI card decks, things like that. And this does not. So you can play it at lower player counts without having to, you know, kind of AI control multiple factions or any factions. And I think for some people that's probably a boon to not have to worry about that. But let's go down and look at the pledges that are offered throughout this. So this, I don't think it's gone to retail. I don't think it's going to retail. And so I think a lot of the purpose of this campaign is just to get the game out there again, like a new printing, to make it available to people. But they are doing a new expansion with this, and it does raise the player count. So you can play it with 6. I think if we look over here, let's see. Yeah, the original game just went to 4. And I didn't talk about the artists that are involved with this just because it's one of these, projects, a lot of fantasy projects that are these big kind of with lots of art where they've got a whole slate of artists. And it's too much probably for me to talk to in this video. But they have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different artists on the original game. And I'm not quite sure who's on with the various expansions, but I just didn't feel the need to talk about all of those artists. But just know there are a bunch of artists on this. And to get back to this, the new expansion does bring the player count up to 6. So this is a $38 pledge here. It's got $12 in shipping for the US, which makes it $50 in total. And it's going to come with this new expansion called Epics of Valerna, as well as a Kickstarter promo card, and then a new miniature that's being voted on by backers. And the promo card and the new miniature will come with all of the pledge levels. If you need the base game, you probably want to start looking at this pledge level. It's called Base Game Plus Epics. That's going to be everything in that previous pledge level, and then it's going to add the base game in as well. This is a $69 pledge with $18 in shipping, or $87 total. If we go to the next pledge level, it's called Most Recent Expansions 3, and that includes the new one. So with this pledge level, they're backing the base game back out, and then they're adding on the expansions Scourge of Valerna and Armies of Nature and Light. And this is a $99 pledge with $23 in shipping, or $122 total. The fourth pledge here is called Draconic Essentials. This is a $104 pledge. You're no longer getting Armies of Nature and Light with this pledge. They're taking that out. They are still giving you Scourge of Valerna, and then they're adding the base game back in. So this is a $104 pledge, $24 in shipping, $128 total. And then we get to the final pledge that you can currently back for at this point in time, which is called Full Gameplay. So this is a $175 pledge. They don't actually list a shipping estimate for this, but the shipping estimate for the previous pledge was $24. The shipping for the all-in, which is no longer available, was $29. So we're just going to guesstimate the shipping for this pledge at $27 and guesstimate the total at $202. So this adds in Creatures of Valerna and Legends of Valerna to that Draconic Essentials pledge. But there are some things that don't come with this that did come with the all-in, which are no longer available. And we're going to go over those add-ons, and I'm going to tell you which are the add-ons that you will need to add on to this full gameplay pledge if you want to make it into the all-in. You're still able to do that through add-ons, but unfortunately, you're going to get this big discount that was available with the all-in pledge price. So you can get all the content, but it's going to be significantly more expensive than it would have been to do the all-in. But let's talk about this as we go through it. So here are the add-ons. There are 2 add-ons that are not listed in this add-on section that are listed if you go over to the details section. One of those add-ons is the print and play version just of Epics of Valerna, the new expansion. It's $5. You can add that on. It is the PMP files for Epics of Valerna, but that's it. Nothing else. There is also a novel called The Rise of Itza. It's $19 as an add-on, and those 2 things are not covered here in the add-ons on this page, but if you were to click on details, you would see them there. Okay, so the things that you can add on that they're actually showing us here in the main part of the page are more copies of the base game for $60, more copies of the new expansion Epics of Valerna for $38. Then you've got these visual upgrade expansions. They're both called Armies of Blood and Dreams and Armies of Nature and Light. $60 for Blood and Dreams, $40 for Nature and Light. It says, great if you want to upgrade your Lords of Vaala experience with miniatures instead of cardboard tokens, Both expansions can be used also as armies for Battles of Lerna. So if you're not getting these, you're going to be looking at a game with cardboard tokens. If you really want the full miniatures experience, you want to add on these 2 expansions. They've also got Creatures of the Lerna for 50, Legends of the Lerna for 40, more expansions, Scourge of Lerna for $40, the deluxe tokens and snap bases, $40, and then we've got an oversized cloth mat for 10, card sleeves for 10, and a marbled dice set for 10. And if you're to look at, in the details, the information on the card sleeves, basically one pack is 110 sleeves, and if you're just sleeving the base game, you will need 1 pack total. If you are getting all of the expansions, you'll need 3 card packs. So 1 card pack will sleeve the base, and 2 additional card sleeve packs will sleeve all of the additional expansions. Now, the things that you would need if you wanted to make the full gameplay into the all-in are 3 packs of card sleeves for $30, the oversized cloth mat for 10, the deluxe marbled dice set for 10, the armies of nature and light for 40, the deluxe tokens and snap bases for 40, and the armies of blood and dreams for 60. Now here's the thing, if you're to add in all of those things and combine that with the full gameplay pledge, you are looking at, once you take in shipping into account, probably $394. If you were to have pledged the all-in with shipping, it would have been $269. So you would be paying $130 more for the all-in than if you were to have pledged that when it was available. But this is probably your only chance to do this. I don't think this is the kind of game that's going to be going to retail, certainly with all of its components and miniatures and expansions and deluxe upgrades and things like that. So I wanted to let you know that you could still do an all-in. It's just going to be significantly more expensive than pledging for the all-in originally was. And finally, Draco Studios is planning on delivering this latest campaign for Dragonbond Lords of Vaala in November 2024, which is, I think, a pretty ambitious turnaround, but keeping in mind that the game has already been made, it's already out there, and so I'm assuming for most of this, it's already probably in production here for them to be able to do that and turn it around so quickly. Okay, moving on from Dragonbond, we're going to take a look at the Eternaut, which has $92,000 in funding currently off of a $42,500 funding goal. And this campaign is going to run until May the 2nd. So you've got about, by the time this actually gets edited and posted, probably about 2 weeks on this one. This is a story-driven, survival-themed co-op based on the comic book from Fantagraphics. It uses mechanics like deck construction and hand management. It's being published by Pendragon Game Studio, who are probably best known for a game called Last Aurora that I actually backed and own, and I really like that game. And they're probably also known for The Thing, the board game. This is designed by Moro Chiabata, who also designed Last Aurora, and the artists include David Corsi, who worked on Kingsbird's 2nd edition, Last Aurora, and The Thing, the board game, and Maciej Szyminski, who's worked on Batman, Everybody Lies, and Thorgal, the board game, which is going to be delivering probably in the next few months. So I think the best thing for us to do is take a look at the video here, and then we'll come back and look at the 4 pledges and the add-ons.
The detonation of a new kind of an atomic bomb has produced massive amounts of radioactive dust spread by the wind. The radioactive cloud is advancing quickly toward the southwest. More details in our next bulletin at 11:30.
Eternaut is the official board game based on the comic created by Hector Hermano Esterheld and Francisco Solana Lopez. An amazing survival experience on the Buenos Aires streets, hit by a strange and deadly snowfall. Together you will lead a group of survivors who miraculously escaped death, trying to build an efficient team using the personal abilities and attitudes of your characters. You will face many scenarios through which you will grow an efficient team, trying to balance the personal objectives of each character and the main objectives of the game. You will live an amazing adventure through a simple mechanism that lets you interact between any entities in the game. In fact, you will play action cards to let your character do many things. You may move through the map tiles, which are gradually revealed during each scenario. You may interact with any entity in the game, reading the corresponding paragraph in the storybook. You may gather useful items, letting you unlock new actions that may speed up your victory. You may also combine them, trying to craft even more powerful items. A perfect coordination between players will be essential to proceed in the game. Every action you take or fatigue card you gain will speed up the end of the game. But beware, the countdown in the snow will not be the only menaces you will encounter. Many strong enemies will come between you and the path of survival. Prepare yourself to live an amazing adventure with the Eternaut.
Okay, so let's go down here and scope out these pledges. The first one is the core pledge, which is a $74 pledge with $27 of shipping for $101 total. And this is just going to come with the core game and the stretch goals. If you'd like to get the Three Brothers expansion, then you want the narrative pledge. So everything in the previous pledge plus the Three Brothers expansion. This is a $106 pledge with $27 in shipping. They didn't actually give us a shipping estimate on this, so we're just using $27, but it's going to be more than that. We know that $27 is the estimate for the core, and we're assuming that everything that includes more game, more stuff, is going to be more than $27. But they didn't give us an estimate, so I'm just going to say more than $27, which means that pledge would be $133 plus whatever the additional shipping is. If you'd like miniatures, then you want to go for the miniature pledge. This one backs out the Three Brothers expansion, but now you're getting both character miniatures and menace miniatures, the good guys and the bad guys. This one is a $127 pledge with more than $27 in shipping, which is going to be a total of $154 plus. And then the final pledge here is the all-in pledge, which adds the Three Brothers expansion back in and throws in the playmat. This is a $170 pledge with more than $27 in shipping for $197 plus. They also do have add-ons, which I think are listed here. So the Menace miniature set is $27. Character miniature set, also $27. The Three Brothers expansions, of all the extras you can get, this is really the one kind of narrative expansion. This is $38 as an add-on. That playmat is $22. There is a first player miniature, which was included if you pledged during the first 48 hours of the campaign. You'd get it for free. But if you haven't done that by now, it's too late. You can add it on for $6. And then there are also some promo cards for one of the previous games called Last Aurora. That was the one that I said that I own and I really like. And it is $6 if you want to add on those promo cards. And then finally, Pendragon Game Studio is planning on delivering this in September 2025. So they've given themselves a pretty good amount of ramp time to get this out to us. It's a year and a half before they're going to try to deliver this one. Now, from here, we're going to go over to Gamefound to take a look at Rome, Fate of an Empire. This is coming from Gabe Barrett, and he has publishing company called Barrett Publishing, but he started to do these solo games of the month. Sometimes he's putting out games that he's designed. Sometimes he's putting out games that other people have designed. He's not trying to design a game of his own every month. So it varies. But he's got sort of a new publishing entity for these games called Best with One Games. And he's described this as the engine building of Res Arcana meets the card play of Mage Knight in a thinky middleweight Euro game. And those things are very enticing, I think. Barrett Publishing in the past has put out Dungeon Ball, and then 2 games designed by Gabe Barrett, Hunted Kobayashi Tower and Hunted Mining Colony 415. However, this game is designed by Joe Klipfel, who's really getting going now. He's designed a game called Dragons of Etchenstone. He also designed Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs with Nikki Valens. Pretty good co-designer to have. Before he worked on Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs, he did another kind of small Gloomhaven spin-off called Gloomholden, which I believe he self-published. And then he also did The Hand of Destiny, which Barrett Publishing did, which was sort of a reimagining of an older game of his called Griphold Tower. There doesn't seem to be an artist listed on this one, and I think Drew Corkle does a lot of the graphic design for Barrett Publishing and the new Best with One games. And so Drew Corkle may be doing all of the art through kind of like the graphic design title. But we've got a rather lengthy video here, and some of it is Gabe Barrett just trying to be funny and stuff like that, and I didn't think we needed to watch that, so I've got the video kind of queued up where it actually gets to information. So we're going to watch it from this point moving forward. We'll look at how Gabe describes the game, but I think if you're a heavy Eurogamer like me and you're looking for kind of interesting, smaller titles that aren't that well known, it looks like this game's going to have a lot of punch. Like it's going to pack a lot of punch. And let me just show it to you. Let me show it to you.
This is Rome, Fate of an Empire, a brand new game from Joe Klipfel, who you might know from Gloomhaven, Buttons and Bugs. And in this game, you'll start off by choosing a leader. You have 6 different options, all with different starting decks and different ways that they can manipulate and change the game. They all have different abilities and advantages and disadvantages. And then you'll be trying to lead Rome to glory, or obscurity, but hopefully glory. Inspired by games like Mage Knight and Res Arcana, this game has deck building and tableau building and civilization building and all the building. And so if you like that kind of thing, this is the game for you. Now, this is a very meaty game with lots of stuff going on, and so this is just a real quick overview of the highlights of the game. If you want to see a how to play video and some playthroughs, you can check out the videos down below on the campaign page. But there's a lot going on. Every game is drastically different, not just because of the edicts and the different goals that you're trying to accomplish and different ways to manipulate that, not just because the leaders and the 6 different choices that you have, but also the way the territories come out and the different places that you can maybe try to conquer if you want to go that route, or you can take on a totally different strategy and try to make friends with everyone and create different trade agreements and go that route. There's lots to think about and lots of different paths to take. On your turn, you'll be playing action cards from your hand, and you're also acquiring action cards and building up your hand and your deck as the game goes on, and they allow you to do all sorts of stuff. And similar to Mage Knight, they can be boosted to give you even more abilities. And so as you bring in more resources into your empire, you're able to do more actions through your cards. And one of those choices is building new areas to put onto the board, like aqueducts and barracks and even the Colosseum, if you can get up to that point. But a good leader doesn't just stay at home at the capital. You'll also be moving around the board, dropping off different influence tokens, which allow you to do various things and take different actions depending on where you go and where you've been. And so there's also that tactical nature to the game. It's not just go acquire some cards and then play the cards as best you can. It's also thinking through, okay, where do I want to go next? What do I want to set up for myself 2 or 3 turns from now, the next round, and figure out how to gain victory points, but then also accomplish whatever you're trying to do with these edicts. Defend Rome, build the Roman wall, the Great Fire, and overcoming these different obstacles and challenges that come right out of the history books. Now, with almost 200 cards and player mats and tokens and cubes and a pawn, there's a lot going on. There's a ton to fit inside this little bitty box. And I was even talking to Joe early on about the size of these solo games of the month. He said, I don't know, man, I don't think you can fit all of this into that tiny of a box. And I said, man, hold my beer. And we figured it out. We figured out how to shrink this gigantic civilization building experience into a solo game of the month. Now, this is a $35-ish game, but because it's in the solo game of the month series, it's $24. I hope that's okay. But I wanted to test the limits of what we could put in a VHS case, and this is it. This is as much game as you can put in this small of a box. So please don't expect this necessarily going forward. The rest of the games this year aren't anywhere near this big. They're actually brought down to a $24 price point, but I wanted to just try. I wanted to experiment and see what we could accomplish, and I am so impressed. I'm so proud of the team and Joe and Drew, the graphic designer, and the factory, and everyone that's just kind of worked on bringing this project to life. And now I cannot wait to share it with you. Thank you so much for checking out this campaign. Hopefully you're as excited about this game and just all the different things that are going on, all the different possibilities that come with it. And yeah, thank you for supporting Solo Game of the Month, for helping to bring these games to life. Again, thanks for being here.
From the hills of Appalachia to the Roman Empire, we're showing the world what happens when music inspires.
Okay. I mean, I'm impressed by a lot of things about this. It does have a little bit of a stripped down look to it. You know, like some war games, maybe they're not as pretty as it could be, but it also seems very clear with the iconography. And I mean, it's a civilization game, right? And he's gotten it down into this kind of smaller footprint. And I think if you like civilization games and you like kind of heavier games, this could be a really good option for something that's a little bit more portable and you could take on the go and still have a meaty gaming experience. And it also seems to me like Gabe's a little bit overwhelmed at just the game and what they're doing with it. And he seems to indicate that they may actually be producing this at a loss, which seems a little bit overwhelming to him, but he also seems to be very excited about it to see what he can do in terms of pushing the limits and trying to get as much game as possible in that kind of VCR type box. So I think there's a lot of interesting things to be excited about in this campaign, and I think it's something that fans of civilization games and heavier gamers would want to be alerted to. So we're taking a look at this, and they had a funding goal of $5,000. They're currently at $35,000. They're doing pretty well, and if we flip this little digital card over, we can see that the campaign is going to run until April the 25th. Now, there are only 2 pledges for this. There is a print and play, which is $5. There won't be shipping because you're just going to get access to the files, and it looks like he's going to do that fairly soon after this campaign ends in May 2024. But if you want the physical version of the game, you want to pledge for this price, $24, Rome, Fate of an Empire. It's going to come with $5 in shipping, so $29 total. And then they're planning on delivering this in August 2024. So I'm very impressed by all of this, and I think there's a lot of ambition behind this, both in terms of the game itself and just the publishing of it. And I think it's something that civilization gamers or heavy gamers may want to jump on. And I'd like to see Gabe be rewarded for taking on this challenge. I think it's very cool. And it looks like a really interesting, solo civilization game. So that is the only game that we're looking at this period on Gamefound. From there, we're going back to Kickstarter for the final campaign of the week. And this is for Tiny Epic Game of Thrones. This is the highest funded game of the week. They're currently at $371,000 off of a $60,000 funding goal. And the campaign is going to run until April the 30th. Now, a lot of these Tiny Epic games like, let's say, Tiny Epic Dinosaurs kind of takes its theme from like Dinosaur Island, and it's very similar. And so I think if you're looking at, what game is this building off of, it's very much Game of Thrones, the board game. But they seem to have distilled, from what I've seen so far, I haven't played it, I haven't sat there and looked through rule books, but from what I'm seeing on the page and some of the videos, it seems like they've done a pretty good job of distilling down Game of Thrones, the board game, into a smaller, tiny, epic playing experience. So you're essentially getting a war game here that I believe plays up to 6 or 8 players once you add on the expansion. So this is coming from Gameland Games. They're best known for Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea and the entire Tiny Epic series. It's designed by Scott Alms, who you may know from Beer and Bread, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. He's designed the whole Tiny Epic series, but the two that are the most highly rated right now in Board Game Geek are Tiny Epic Galaxies and Tiny Epic Dungeons. And then he's also the designer behind Warp's Edge. And there are 2 artists on this, Daniel Cunha, who's worked on Light in the Dark, Pest, and Philharmonics, and Nicoletta Vazzi, who's worked on so many Tiny Epic games, but most notably Dinosaurs, Dungeons, Pirates, Tactics, and Vikings. So, like a Game of Thrones, the board game, this is a war game that uses area majority, multi-use cards, variable player powers, hand management, area movement, and action event. We're going to take a look at the video. We'll come back and look at the 3 pledges. I don't think there's any add-ons, so this is kind of a simple campaign. You're just going to decide whether you want the deluxe with the cooperative expansion, or the all-in. But before we look at those pledges, let's take a look at the video.
Tiny Epic Game of Thrones immerses players in the world of Westeros, offering an enthralling gaming experience filled with bloodshed and political intrigue. Designed for 1 to 4 players, this captivating game captures the tense struggles of the kingdoms, allowing players to engage in thrilling battles and strategic maneuvering, all within an hour. In this game, players take on the roles of iconic characters as they lead their kingdoms across Westeros, forging alliances, outwitting rivals, and vying for the coveted Iron Throne. The gameplay unfolds over 6 action-packed rounds, with the player accumulating the most victory points being crowned the winner and Lord of the 7 Kingdoms. The game introduces an innovative limited-action dice mechanic, where players choose from 6 possible actions: recruit, march, sail, whisper, plot, and event. On a player's turn, they execute 2 chosen actions, one from the action mat and the other from the selected die. All players can participate in the action indicated on the die, ensuring continuous engagement. In the thrilling 6-round game, players harness the abilities of their houses through multi-use cards. These cards have 3 distinct functions: battle, plotting, and events. During battles, cards can boost your war strength or be used to retreat strategically. However, the same cards can also be employed for forging alliances with other houses of Westeros, which is vital for expanding your influence. Be mindful of potential betrayals, as other players may be vying for the same alliances. Finally, cards can be utilized to recreate epic events from the show, allowing players to relive their favorite moments from Game of Thrones. Additionally, a robust solo experience is included, pitting players against an automated opponent who battles, plots, and competes for the Iron Throne with the same tenacity as a human player. This immersive experience ensures all the tension of Westeros is captured, even in single-player mode. However, the saga doesn't end there. Brace yourself. Winter is coming. Experience the first ever fully cooperative Game of Thrones board game with the Tiny Epic Game of Thrones Ice and Fire expansion. In alliance with Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen, with her formidable dragons, players unite against the common threat of the Night King and his White Walker army. Employing the base game's innovative mechanics, players venture north in search of Dragonglass, gather Valyrian steel, and prepare for an epic battle with the Night King. In this cooperative endeavor, it's either victory for all or a dire fate for everyone. This revolutionary expansion also provides the House Targaryen and the Night's Watch as playable factions in the competitive game. Furthermore, don't miss this opportunity to elevate your gaming experience with the Tiny Epic Game of Thrones Heroes Pack and Deluxe content. Immerse yourself even further in the realm of Westeros with a collection of alternate heroes hailing from the 7 mighty houses. Each hero possesses unique strategies and a rich tapestry of possibilities as you explore this game's epic depths. Harness your true potential to seize the coveted Iron Throne by pledging your support and acquiring a copy of Tiny Epic Game of Thrones and its additional content. Each pledge plays a vital role in bringing the Tiny Epic series to life. Don't wait. Join us and become a backer today.
And they seem to be mirroring Game of Thrones, the board game, in terms of that extra expansion, because Game of Thrones, the board game, had an expansion that included House Targaryen and added on a higher player count. So they're doing something similar here. And again, they're kind of, I think, following in the footsteps of Game of Thrones, the board game. Now, you've got 3 pledges here. There's this deluxe, which is $40 pledge. It has $10 in shipping or $50 total. And they mentioned in that video Hand of the King, which is kind of deluxe stuff, and the miniatures. Those are coming in this pledge. So my guess here is this thing goes to retail. It'll go to retail without those things. So no Hand of the King, no miniatures, just kind of like a stripped down version. But for this Kickstarter, you're starting with the deluxe. So you can't get the stripped down standard version, essentially. You're always going to be getting, at a minimum, the deluxe version of the game here. And this is a $50 pledge once you add on the shipping. Now, if you want to also get that cooperative expansion, you're looking at a $45 pledge with $13 in shipping or $58 total. And that's going to add on both the cooperative expansion and then those extra factions, the Night's Watch and House Targaryen. And then finally, the third pledge here is the all-in. This is a $50 pledge with $15 in shipping and $65 total. And the thing that gets added on here is an extra heroes pack, which, if you're playing the game, you've got a faction, you've got a faction leader. The faction leader has variable player powers, but this extra heroes pack is going to give you more heroes that you can use for your faction. It's either 1 or 2 additional leaders with different variable player powers. So that way, when you sit down and play the game, you can still play the same faction, but you can change up the powers that faction has. So $65 with shipping for this one. There is no list of add-ons for this. So you're just deciding what you want. Do you want the cooperative expansion? If so, you're going to want the second pledge. Do you want that extra heroes pack that gives you the ability to have faction leaders that are different than just the initial one? If you want that, then you need to do the all-in. There's no way to just add that on. So you would also be getting the cooperative expansion for that. And then finally, Gameland Games is planning on delivering Tiny Epic Game of Thrones in October 2024. So about a 6-month window for this one. And that wraps the video for this week. 6 campaigns, and I really hope that something that I showed you today was new. Maybe you didn't know about that solo gaming project or Rome Fate of an Empire. I think there are several games in this video that look really pretty cool that people may not know about. I think the campaign from Bitewing Games with those 2 Bebop and Shuffle and Swing, both of those are very intriguing to me. And then I'm also really kind of curious about the Eternaut. So there's kind of some interesting things to pick from, I think, in the week of this launch. But I don't know if these are games that are on everyone's radar, which is part of the reason that I do these videos, to try to shine a light on some games and some campaigns that, even people who follow Kickstarter quite a bit might have missed. So hopefully, I reminded you about something that you were interested in, or I brought something to your attention that you didn't know about. I did mention at the top that this video is getting produced and posted a lot later than usual, which means by the time this launches, it's just going to be in 3 or 4 days until the next video comes out. So join me very soon, and we'll be taking a look at the second crowdfunding roundup for April 2024. And until then, I hope you're having a great week. You're getting some good games played. Take care, and I will see you very soon in the next one.